This just in, the new season of The Boys sucks, according to a lot of folks. And I would respond with I'm not surprised in the slightest. How did you guys not see this coming? But in better news, Tatiana Maslany, the star of She-Hulk, has a really weird new show coming out. And also the Street Fighter movie lost its directors. Let's go ahead and do this. As always, make sure to go to criticalist.com. We are in the Apple and Android stores. That's criticalist.com. We're an entertainment reviewing platform for talking about movies and TV shows in a more social, MySpace-esque type of a vibe. So make sure to come visit us and say hi. Now, on to the drama. The drama is that The Boys is getting ripped a new one. It's getting the acolyte treatment, as many industry folks are accusing it of getting. Now, like I said, I'm not surprised by this at all. I mean, the thing is The Boys was very clever in its early seasons. And actually, I would say in the first season, it wasn't even just clever, like it was a well-written, well-made show. But starting around season 2, I started to become concerned because things just didn't feel quite right. It felt like the tongue-in-cheek jokes felt like they weren't really actually laughing with me anymore. It started to feel like they were laughing at me. And then with season 3, I was like, oh, okay, no. I see exactly where we are and I see exactly where things are going. And turns out that's exactly what's happened. Now, if you didn't pay attention as well, back a couple months ago, Gen V came out, which was a spinoff series. Now, you can see my Friends with Benefits score on Criticalist here is a 39%, which is by 3 people. So a 39% also wasn't necessarily super surprising for me because I watched it and I gave it a 27%, and I can confirm that this show was hot trash. It was about as hyper political as you could get. It was very pandering and unfunny, and it was just extremely one-sided in its commentary, to the point in which one of the characters was a full-blown MAGA-esque rapist, is the best way to put it. And this guy was the biggest sleazeball and basically the villain of the show. And I mean, you can even see in the hat here, they're just saying it out in the open right here. Look at it. It's keep America safe. And his whole shtick was just crapping on superheroes and registration and all of these things. It was just very modern politics. And so that leads us to the new season of The Boys, season 4. And it is getting a Rotten Tomatoes score that is a first-time splat for the series. And critics and industry folks are just so surprised. How could this have happened? But if you watch season 3, you could know exactly how it would happen with where things are headed now. And they broke down actually season by season where the scores have set with the audience and critics. And looking right here, first season, actually, the audience score was higher than the critics. And then it starts to drop down to an 83, not bad, down to a 75, and now we're at a 52. And like I said, it appears that this is getting the acolyte treatment. So there is a strong chance that this will get below a 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, which would not surprise me at all. Because if you have any level of self-awareness and aren't just full-blown all up into left-wing politics, from everything I've seen and heard, the clips I've seen coming out from these first 3 episodes, like, you're probably going to have an issue with this show just with the type of stuff that they feel like they're going to rip on. And that's the thing, is they have been making all of the villains, all of the bad guys, just full-blown coming after right-wing type folks. And the thing is that I am very much a middle-of-the-road type of person. And my thing is, if you're going to rip on the right, then rip on the left, or you're going to isolate your audience. And that's exactly what's happened here. I mean, if you look and read what's on this sign here, I don't actually want to read a lot of the things. I couldn't show the clip because I feel like I would just get all kinds of flags on this YouTube channel already, which I'm not willing to do. So just know that the stuff that they are leaning into here is ripping on the conspiracy community, making out anybody who's not left basically a conspiracy theorist psychopath who, thinks that certain things about celebrities, and, they're just trying to lean into ripping on this stuff, being like, you guys are idiots. This stuff isn't real. Also, we're going to just be so on the nose in this fictional world that it's just going to hyper connect to actual reality and what you idiots think. And so the thing is I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that the season of The Boys is bad. After seeing Gen V, I knew that this was what was going to happen. And so, guys, I'm sorry if you ended up surprised, but Obviously, this is where we were going to end up. And to those that are on the left and think that the show is great and that there's no mistakes made this season, I would just like to point out that if they were single-handedly coming after your political party or your beliefs, then you would have a problem with it as well, which is why I would say that the smart thing to do is to rip on both sides, to make fun of everybody. But the thing is that's not how Hollywood works anymore. And they do things like this, and then they act surprised and clutch their pearls and are like, oh, why does no one like this anymore? But also just go somewhere else. There's plenty of other things to watch. You don't have to watch our show. And then the show tanks, it gets canceled. No one does watch it anymore, and there's no future for it. Now, I think it's a very good idea that he just recently announced that next season is going to be the last season of The Voice, because I can guarantee you that after this season, the ratings are going to tank, especially with it being weekly release. The thing is that people aren't going to continue to hate watch this. Most likely, they're just going to see these first 2 or 3 episodes that they've released thus far and bail, which is what I would advise you to do if you're watching the show and you're not about it. You know, there's that fine line of giving money and supporting things. And if this is the trash that it sounds like it is, then stop watching it. I loved season 1. It was great. Would recommend it if you like edgy, ridiculous stuff. But after that, probably not so much. I mean, you know, right now it's sitting at a higher score within Criticlist, and it's at a 77%, but I would be willing to bet that the score will drop over time and will be brought down some after this new season. And being that we're a newer platform, we're just now starting to get people to review some older things, or when new seasons come out, then, you know, people actually start reviewing it. So now, on to more fun, interesting news. I wanted to talk about the Tatiana Maslany thing because this just sounds so freaking weird. So MGM Studios and Amazon have a new show coming out, and it seems like they're the only ones that have announcements for shows and things coming out anymore, and they're just making all of the TV. So that's just what's happening. Now, to dig into this show, what it says is Tatiana Maslany is set to star in The Night Beast, a pilot for Amazon MGM Studios, from Leah Rachel, who did Chambers, and Travis Jackson, who did Hemlock Grove. Now, I saw Hemlock Grove. This show was ridiculous and over the top. And if this is anything like Hemlock Grove, honestly, I'm on board. Now, what it says is that Maslany will also produce the pilot that follows a young mother who is unsatisfied with her seemingly perfect suburban life. So she begins an affair with the boogeyman in her son's closet, a surprisingly sexy man called the Night Beast. And now, reading this alone, I just can't help but think about the Nightman from and Dayman from Always Sunny. I mean, that's just what this sounds like. Ridiculous. But this harmless affair she thought to be a figment of her imagination begins to have unexpected consequences as her two worlds increasingly begin to collide in a seductive, darkly comedic tale. What even is this show? This woman has a son who has a boogeyman who lives in his closet, and his mom decides to get laid by his boogeyman. Everything about this sounds absurd. Honestly, it sounds pretty funny. I am probably going to watch this. And as long as it isn't political or anything, and it just leans into the joke and just being ridiculous, like, let's do it. Let's watch this. I'm around for single moms screwing boogeymans. You know what I'm saying? Sounds exciting. So we're going to definitely keep an eye on this show, The Night Beast, because at the very least, it will allow us for some fun jokes and connections to Always Sunny. So The Night Beast, give it to me, Amazon. This sounds absurd. Now, next piece of news is that the Street Fighter film has lost its directors. I didn't even know this was being made. But apparently, we were getting a new Street Fighter movie, and it was going to be directed by the guys who did Talk to Me. Now, if you didn't see Talk to Me, it was a new horror film that came out this past year, and it did gangbusters. It was an indie movie made by some YouTubers, and a lot of people liked it. There were people that didn't. I personally loved it, thought it was awesome and inventive and fun, and just a new horror film. And I highly recommend watching Talk to Me. But basically, the news is fairly slim on this, but it's just that the guys who were from the YouTube channel Raka Raka, and these guys, I think, were from New Zealand, but they basically have left the movie. There's not a lot of news on why or what happened, but basically they aren't going to be involved. And there's not really even much news on the Street Fighter film itself. But I mean, you know, we've got a gym back from the 90s, so you can always go watch that. But I would say that maybe this is honestly good news for these two. I think that they are auteurs and creators, and these guys are doing interesting things. And my thoughts on it are that they should stay in the indie realm and hone their chops a little more, keep to the new ideas and just be creative and make new things. Don't get trapped in a franchise. So many careers have been made, but also have definitely been ruined by jumping into these franchises like this and getting tied up with all of these studios and all of the corporate BS. These guys seem like the type who probably wouldn't play ball anyways. They are ridiculous human beings. So this doesn't really surprise me, and I could see them not playing well with the industry. So I think that they just need to go kind of raw and untethered with their movies and just do their own thing. So I'll be looking out to see what these guys do in the future, because I think that Danny and Michael are some cool guys. And I think that they have a promising future within the industry as long as they make the right choices going forward. So maybe this was the right choice for them. I'm thinking it probably was. So no new director for the Street Fighter announced yet, but we'll keep a lookout to see what progress happens with this movie and if it actually ever even gets made. Now, I want to talk about one tiny piece of news just because. And that little bit of news is that 1923, the prequel series, which is getting a season 2, is starring Jennifer Carpenter now. She's going to be jumping onto the series. She's actually a personal friend and just a really cool person. And I wanted to talk about it just as a little shout out for her getting this gig. I think it's really neat. And I think it's fun that she's tied on to this show. If you don't recognize her, she was known as being Deb and Dexter. And I've been kind of following her career over the years as I got to know her. And I think that she's done some really neat things. And seeing her get this gig is really cool because this show is superb. And the biggest thing here is that I got to talk about 1923 because I want to tell people, if you have not watched these prequel Yellowstone series, there's 2 right now. This is the second of the 2, and 1923 is superb. I love it. I'm ready for a season 2, and I think everything about season 1 was awesome. So I'm ready for things to really get rolling. It got hit with the writer's strikes, which is why we haven't gotten a new season thus far. And so clearly production is on the way. Things are rolling along. Congratulations, Jennifer, for the new gig. And I'm excited to see her in season 2. So if you haven't checked out 1923 yet, make sure to go to do that. It's on Paramount Plus, so it's pretty easy to access if you're subscribed to that, and watch the other Yellowstone spinoff as well. And then if you're into those things, then maybe make your way over to Yellowstone. It's a bit of a different type of show than these 2, but I love the whole world, and I think they've done a great job with it. So, it's a series worth checking out, and about as close to modern westerns as we're getting right now. So they're worth a watch. But guys, until tomorrow, that was the news for today. And as always, make sure to go to criticalist.com or download the app in the app stores. And also make sure to like, subscribe, follow. It helps us out a ton. And to all our new subscribers, thank you. Welcome to the channel. And look out for more news from Criticalist Cast News and for our reviews on Criticalist Cast Unhinged, which is still part of this same channel. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.